And we begin with senior political reporter Jason Whiteley. Jason, there's a lot of races you'll be watching closely tonight.
Cynthia and Chris, there are a number of them. We're waiting to see how they turn out. But, many of these races are already decided in some sense. Beto O'Rourke likely to be the Democratic nominee for governor. Greg Abbott on the Republican side. But there are other races we do not yet know how they're going to turn out when polls close in less than 2 hours. Perhaps the biggest one is a statewide race for Republican Attorney General. Ken Paxton needs 50% of the vote plus one tonight to avoid a runoff. Problem is, Paxton has been polling below that. If this goes to a runoff, we'll be watching to see which fellow Republican there that he might face. In Tarrant County, we're waiting to see what happens with the county judge race there. This is the Republican side. The two biggest names, former Fort Worth Mayor Betsy Price and former Farmers Branch Mayor Tim O'Hare. 5 candidates in this race, which means they could end up in a runoff as well. Now to Collin County and Hunt County, Congressional District 3. Congressman Van Taylor getting hit hard by fellow Republicans. If he is forced into a runoff, it could be telling about the direction of the Texas GOP. In Dallas County, 2 races here. The Democrats running for the district attorney seat is like deja vu for us. John Creuzot versus Elizabeth Frizzell again. This was super close last time, 4 years ago. 112,000 votes cast back then, and Creuzot defeated Frizzell by less than 600 votes. Tonight, she's getting a rematch. And another big congressional race we're watching is in southern Dallas County. 9 candidates running to replace Congresswoman Eddie Bernice Johnson, who is retiring. And with so many people in this race, we have 2 screens of all the candidates. This one almost guaranteed to end up in a runoff at the end of May. That race has attracted some national attention as well. WFAA's Damon Fernandez has lots of contacts inside this district. He's covering the race for us tonight. Damon, you're hearing about some problems at the polls, right?
Hey Jason, I'm at the polling site in DeSoto right now. We're at the Disciple Central Community Church. It's been busy out here all day. Almost feels like a block party when you take a look around. Voters contacted us this afternoon saying they were experiencing long lines and backups, and Democratic candidates for U.S. District 30 are among those who've been monitoring things out here today. Voters expect the fight for the District 30 seat is going to be a tight one. Across southern Dallas, you can see candidates for U.S. House Congressional District 30 are hard at work, trying to get the attention of voters near polling sites in the region.
I just want the candidate to do right by the people.
U.S. House District 30 covers a large portion of southern Dallas County, including parts of Grand Prairie, Mesquite, Duncanville, and DeSoto.
Basically, I want to make sure they take care of do their jobs like they're supposed to do in Dallas.
Eddie Bernice Johnson.
The District 30 race is a significant one, especially after longtime politician Congresswoman Eddie Bernice Johnson announced her retirement. Johnson served nearly 30 years in that office.
Pretty much what she said she was going to do, she tried to live up to her word.
And in this Democratic primary, voters have 9 candidates to consider, and a variety of issues are top of mind.
Making sure that our children are getting the proper education and that they are getting the same resources in school and medical care.
The Democratic candidates fighting for votes and the District 30 seat include State Rep Jasmine Crockett. She's a civil rights and criminal defense attorney who earned the endorsement of Congresswoman Johnson. There's businesswoman and community organizer Jane Hope Hamilton, lifelong Texan Arthur Dixon, and there's Vonseal Jones Hill, an attorney and former city council member.
I want somebody to kind of like speak out for me, my views.
The list of District 30 candidates continues with educator and sociologist Dr. Keisha Williams Langford and Barbara Mallory Caraway, a community advocate, former Dallas City Council member, and former state rep. There's U.S. Navy veteran Jessica Mason, attorney Abel Mulugeta, who once worked in Congresswoman Johnson's district office, and former constable Roy Williams, Jr. The candidates are pushing issues including equity, voting rights, jobs, and building communities, among other hot topics.
Go out and vote.
Now, things are still busy out here in DeSoto. I've heard that the elections department did deliver some equipment out here to help with the crowd. You can imagine that those candidates for District 30 will be out here and working the voter crowd up until the last minute. We'll continue following this race for District 30 seat throughout the night. In DeSoto, I'm Damon Fernandez.
Damon, thank you. That turnout there is impressive. This is our first big election since Republicans changed voting laws in Texas last year. And we have heard from many of you today about the problems at polls you're seeing all across the state. WFA's Malini Basu has been getting a lot of these calls. She is live in Euless at this hour with this story. Malini?
And we've been going around
around to polling location after polling location in Tarrant County. The three biggest problems that we're seeing is there aren't enough Democratic poll workers, the machines are down, or there just aren't enough machines itself. We ended up here in Euless. People are getting out of work and they are starting to cast their ballots. But let me go ahead and take you back to what our day was like while we were on a Zoom with a veteran earlier today. You know what? She was being told, hey, you have to turn back around. This was at the Tarrant County Southwest Courthouse. She was turned away because the Democratic polling machines were broken. And then hours later, a technician showed up and it was fixed. And then we went to another polling location where voters said there weren't enough Democratic poll workers. Republican poll workers then went and helped out. The election administrator for Tarrant County tells us some of his employees from the phone bank helped out. They drove over to different locations. He breaks it down for us. Take a listen.
There were 10 sites where the Democrat judge was not appointed. There was a vacancy, and then there were 2 sites where the Republican Party didn't have someone to staff.
There was probably 100 of us, and then the lady come out and says, "Are you Republican or Democratic?" And I said, "I'm Democratic," and she says, "All Republicans can come to the front of the line because the Democratic machine isn't working."
So we've been hearing a lot of those stories. You know, we also spoke to an election judge a little while ago. She tells us if that keeps happening, where you show up to a location and the polls are down, you can go in your county and cast that ballot. And remember, polls are open until 7. Jason, I'll send it back to you.